Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports, coming up in just a few moments. But before we do, we want you to make sure and like this video if you're pumped up for the draft. The Seahawks getting ready to take on the number 9 overall pick, something that they didn't have just a couple weeks ago. 12th man, stand up. We'd love to hear from you. If you're excited about the draft for the Seahawks, make sure and like the video. Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. Today, we are mocking the NFL draft for your Seattle Seahawks, and what a position this team finds themselves in with that number 9 pick overall in the draft. And when you look at this team, obviously they need a franchise quarterback, but there are plenty of holes to fill as well. John Schneider, the GM of the Seahawks, and head coach Pete Carroll must nail that number 9 pick for this team as they try to build for their future in the post-Russell Wilson era. Let's go ahead and look at the team needs for the Seahawks overall, beyond just the quarterback position itself. Obviously, you have to talk about the offensive line for the Seahawks as they dealt with a plethora of issues this past season as Russell Wilson found himself running for his life throughout 2021. They'll need some help there. You also have to look at the cornerback position. The Seahawks did sign a few players for that spot, but mostly nickel cornerbacks, some backup players. They're going to be looking for somebody to fill a starting role. Linebacker, trying to replace Bobby Wagner will be key, and also the defensive line, those edge rushers will be something that the Seahawks will be looking to find in the draft as they continue this offseason. So, with all that being said, we want to ask you in the comments below, who do you think the Seahawks should draft in the first round with that number 9 pick? We want to hear from you. Seahawks fans, tell us in the comments and let us know what you think they should do with that number 9 pick. So we turned to our friends at the Pro Football Network and ran a simulated mock draft. And here's the position that the Seahawks found themselves in. Evan Neal goes number 1 to the Jags, while Aiden Hutchinson, the star edge out of Michigan, goes to Detroit. Then Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati, the star cornerback, jumps all the way to 3 to Houston, while Kayvon Thibodeau ends up with the New York Jets at number 4. And Icky, the one and only, ends up at that number 5 spot for the New York Football Giants, the offensive tackle from NC State. The next round of picks, at number 6, we have the Panthers taking Kyle Hamilton, the safety at that spot. Giants on the board again at number 7, taking center Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. And then the number 8 spot, the Atlanta Falcons, we have them taking Jermaine Johnson II, the edge rusher out of Florida State. So then the Seahawks find themselves with the number 9 pick. And this one, a lot of different options for the Seahawks here. But as we were going through the simulator, folks, I was given an offer I simply just could not refuse. John Schneider wasn't available, so as I filled in for the GM role, the Saints gave me a phone call and said, hey, how about you take our first-round pick at number 18 and our first-round pick next year in exchange for the number 9 pick? And I said, guys, that's like stealing candy from a baby here. I got to take this trade offer that they're giving the Seattle Seahawks in this scenario here. So, a plot twist, instead of holding the number 9 pick, Seattle moves down to 18 and takes New Orleans' first-round pick for next year. Now, we'll dive into the details here in just a second, but before we do, I got to tell you about my guys at Fanatics. They have some awesome draft gear, and if you want to look like one of the draftees, here's your chance to do so. You can log on to chatsports.com/Seahawks draft to get one of these very snazzy draft hats and make sure and be looking like the pros. Here's your opportunity to do so as you can represent the Seahawks wherever you may be. Log on to chatsports.com/Seahawks draft to get your hands on one of these today. Let's go ahead and continue with the mock draft. So the Saints Move up to number 9 and take the Seahawks pick and go with Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. The Jets go to the defensive line and take Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle from Georgia, while the Washington Commanders end up with a quarterback as they go to the well again, and we'll see what this means for Washington necessarily as they go with Matt Corral, the quarterback out of Mississippi. Derek Stingley Jr., the star cornerback from LSU, goes 12 to Minnesota, while Trayvon Walker, the edge rusher out of Georgia, goes to Houston at 13. Then at 14, the Ravens end up with Andrew Booth Jr., the cornerback from Clemson. Garrett Wilson, one of 2 star Ohio State wide receivers in this draft, ends up in Philadelphia, while Daxton Hill out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, ends up with the Philadelphia Eagles with their 16th pick. 17th, Zion Johnson, the offensive lineman for Boston College, ends up with the Chargers, and then that puts the Seahawks waiting at number 18. Here are the options for the Seattle Seahawks. They could go quarterback and go with Kenny Pickett out of Pitt. There's also Charles Cross, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State, and according to the draft experts, Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, the athletic staff, all those mock drafts had the Seahawks taking Charles Cross at that number 9 pick they originally had. So a pretty interesting scenario here for the Seahawks as they could draft Charles Cross here at number 18 when the experts had him as their original pick at 9. So our guy that we were looking at, folks, at that number 9 pick the last few days is available here. Let's go ahead and look at the draft profile on Cross here for a second, folks. 2-year starter, played at a high level in the Southeastern Conference and just neutralized pass rushers. You're talking about a guy that is comparable with some of the best, like Taylor Morton and Tristan Wirfs, just to name a few. Wirfs, thank you, with that pick there. So he's still available. A couple of the other players still on the board for the Seahawks at this spot. If Charles Cross isn't the pick, they could go with Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. There's also George Karlaftis, the edge rusher, from Purdue, and Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. So with that being said, you can't pass up on a guy that you were originally going to get at 9 anyway. Charles Cross has got to be the pick here for the Seahawks at number 18 if he's still available in this position like we have him there. So what do you think, guys? The pick of Charles Cross, do you like it? Let us know in our comments section. You can type Y for yes or N for no if you like us taking Charles Cross at this number 18 pick. Y for yes, N for no. Moving on to the second round now for the Seahawks. Another trade proposal comes up. This time, Seattle receiving the number 42 pick, moving down just 2 spots. And in exchange, they get to move up from the 6th round of 229 overall to the 122nd pick in the 4th round. And I got to tell you, you made me GM and you're just giving me trade deals that I can't pass up. I can't say no to this if I'm managing the Seahawks draft here. Go down 2 spots to jump up over 100 spots in another pick. This is an easy call. Take the trade here if the Seahawks get in this position and allow the Colts to move up. So with allowing the Colts to move up here, then what that does for the Seahawks, here is what the next few picks look like as they wait just a little bit longer on this pick. Kenyon Green goes to the Giants. George Pickens from Georgia goes to Houston. Chad Muma from Wyoming goes to the Jets. Breece Hall, the all-Big 12 running back, ends up with the Bears. And Desmond Ridder, the quarterback from Cincinnati, goes 40th to the Indianapolis Colts. So at 41, a couple options for the Seahawks here as they can go with DeMarvin Neal from Texas A&M. David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan, getting a lot of love and among others there at that position. Let's tell you about the pick that we ultimately end up with, and that is David Ojabo, the edge rusher from Michigan. Emerging guy. He did suffer an Achilles tear on his pro day, but, I mean, this is the guy that you want on your football team that has all the intangibles here. If he didn't have that injury, we'd be talking about a guy going much higher here. If he is healthy, if he can recover from that Achilles injury, this is quite the steal for the Seahawks. That's why I got to take this pick here. Last year, 11 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles. Really good pickup. So then the Seahawks have another pick after this, right after it at 42. And we actually go with Christian Harris, the linebacker from Alabama, 3-year starter at an elite program, won a national championship, a long, athletic inside linebacker. And the numbers, they speak for themselves on Harris. You're talking about a guy that had almost 12 tackles for loss last season, 5.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. This would be a really good pickup and fill a need for the Seahawks at this point. So here we are through 3 picks for Seattle, and we have 3 needs met for this team. We covered the offensive tackle spot. We covered the edge rusher, and we covered the linebacker position. So far, so good for this Seattle team, and we earned some draft capital in the process as well. Nonstop Seahawks coverage for free at Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Click the link below to subscribe. Hit that red sub button. You can also log on to youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Moving on now for the Seahawks. Pick number 72 coming up. Let's catch you up to speed on where the mock draft has gone so far at this point. Carson Strong from Nevada goes at 60. You also have the likes of Abraham Lucas going to the Bengals at 63. Cameron Thomas going to the Broncos at 64. So here is on the board for the Seahawks at 72. Christian Watson, the wide receiver from North Dakota State. He won a national title this year. How about Nick Bonito from the Oklahoma Sooners? And Coby Bryant, the cornerback from Cincinnati. Cincy had some very good corners this year. So with the pick, we're going to fill another need for the Seahawks. We're knocking these out one by one. Going to go with Coby Bryant at this spot. 4-year starter for the Bearcats. Good size at around 6'1", and can be a real-time route reader comparable to P.J. Williams. He had about 3 interceptions last year. This would be a solid pick for the Seahawks if they can get him at this spot. So what do you guys think? What is the biggest need for the Seahawks in the 2022 NFL Draft? Tell us in the comments below, and we would love to hear from you there who you think is the biggest need. Your chance to speak up and sound off right now. The next few picks, let's roll through these last ones for you here. Caleb Ellaby, the quarterback for Western Michigan. He'd be a project. Certainly would fill a need at that backup spot behind Drew Lock right now. And who knows what he could turn into down the road. But a guy that finished his career with a 45-11 touchdown interception ratio. Good leader with a lack of physical traits there out of Western Michigan. So you look at his numbers, completion percentage below 64%. Would certainly need some work and need some time to learn the Seahawks offense, but he could be a interesting pick there for the Seahawks in the 4th round. Also in the 4th round for the Seahawks, we are going to Norman, Oklahoma to find an offensive lineman, and that is Marquise Hayes, a high-cut guard with a tackle's body, rough and tumble block finisher. Could be a good find there in the Seahawks in the 4th round. 5th round, a couple more picks to go for you. Let's go wide receiver now. This one, to me, is finding a diamond in the rut for the Seahawks here, as a Tyquan Thornton we find available in the 5th round, a guy that had almost 1,000 yards receiving, 10 touchdowns, and a terrific body frame. He's 6'3" and 182 pounds. If this guy's available in the 5th round, I know the Seahawks have a really good pair of receivers there, but this is a guy that you can't miss on. At this point in the draft, you go best available. If he's there, take him. I would ride with Tyquan Thornton there at that spot. Last pick for you, we're going to corner once again for the Seahawks, and that is going to be Damari Mathis, the cornerback out of Pittsburgh. Strong corner, good wrap-up finisher. He did miss the 2020 season due to a shoulder injury, but had a nice bounce back last season. So that is our mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks. Let's go through the picks one more time. Charles Cross at number 18, David Ojabo at 41, Christian Harris at 42, Coby Bryant at 72. The other 4 picks, Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan at 109, Marquise Hayes at 122, Tyquan Thornton at 152, and Damari Mathis at 153. So 8 picks in a matter of just 5 rounds for the Seahawks. And with the trades that I was able to get done for you, Seahawk fans, this team got better overnight. So you would be feeling pretty good about yourselves if this team ended up with these picks in 5 rounds. They are 8 in total. And also some draft capital, an extra first-round pick for next year. So what do you think? I think I did a pretty good job. Now it's your chance to tell me how great or how terrible I did. Grade my draft in the comments below, A, B, C, D, or F. If you give me an F, that just means you love me secretly. That's okay. We appreciate you joining us. This has been Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports.